Hello everyone, this is my third YouTube video and we're doing something different today. We're actually going to do some acquisition stuff or acquisition news. Mainly we're going to talk about Xbox acquisition over the gaming company known as Activision. So background info. Activision is a parent company that owns a couple of franchises, right? They own franchises such as Overwatch, Diablo, and mainly Call of Duty. And Call of Duty is a humongous game, and that's what this court case recently has been going on between Microsoft/Xbox and the FTC and Sony. So last year ago, again, Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard, therefore they have the rights of Call of Duty, Overwatch, Diablo, and so on and so forth, right? Now, the FTC, which is the Federal Trade Commission, they did not like this deal, and Sony hated this deal, and there's a lot of reasons as to why. So one thing, the Federal Trade Commission, which is what is their job? Their job is to ensure that gaming companies do not have a monopoly, right? And they thought that by Xbox owning such a big gaming franchise like Call of Duty, again, this is mainly about Call of Duty, right? But they did not like the idea of Xbox having this right over such a big gaming company that's played by millions of gamers. Now, the reason Sony hated this is because they're actually known to be the leader of the gaming market, meaning Sony is like the number one, right? They're the guys that sell most of the consoles, they're the guys that have the best games, and they're known for one thing that's known as exclusivity, right? They have games such as God of War, Spider-Man's, Uncharted's, right? These games are all exclusive, meaning that you cannot play them in any other platform. You can only play them on the PlayStation platform. Now, Xbox, on the other hand, has pretty much been memed on for the last generation of their console days to be having no exclusive games. In general, to have no games, where Microsoft had been completely dependent on third-party studios such as Activision, Ubisoft, Rockstars, and so on and so forth, right? They themselves do not have a great catalog of exclusive games. Moreover, these third-party companies have been very much more close tied with PlayStation rather than Xbox due to the fact that PlayStation in general is the more popular console compared to Xbox. So Activision was known to have very close relationships with Sony, right? And they get some exclusive deals with Activision, right? And also Call of Duty is a number one played game. Even though Sony has a lot of exclusive under their belt, like God of War and Spider-Man, which both of those series have sold 20 plus million copies and have made billions of dollars for Sony, they don't compete with Call of Duty. Call of Duty in the end is the number one played game, and it is a more third-party studio. That's a public game where multiple platforms can play, and they're not exclusive. However, Sony does get some exclusive deals with Activision, and is mostly known that if you want the best experience to play Call of Duty, you play it either on PC because of the frame rate or on PlayStation due to the exclusive deals. So Sony has that relationship with Activision. But now their biggest competitor, Xbox, suddenly owns Activision. Therefore, any leverage they have over Call of Duty is completely gone. Moreover, their most played game, which makes them a lot of money, is now owned by the direct competitor. Therefore, Sony hated this idea. So when Xbox first bought it, Sony immediately wanted this deal to be axed. They did not want this deal to go through. Therefore, they worked with the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, to block this deal. And this court case has now been going on 1 year long, and it was honestly reported that Xbox wasn't having the greatest time, and they've been really struggling to make sure they can win this case because it's just being delayed, and the FTC, Sony have been trying their best to stop this deal from happening. But now, recently, it has now been confirmed that Microsoft has successfully been able to beat the FTC and Sony and have the right to acquire Activision Blizzard. And the reason they're able to succeed is mainly due to the Federal Trade Commission and Sony's weak arguments against Xbox and Microsoft. The main worry was that Xbox would make Call of Duty an exclusive game. But there's a lot of logistic reasons this wouldn't make sense, financially speaking, for Microsoft. And also, it also doesn't make sense that argument is coming from a gaming company like Sony, who's known for exclusive, right? They're known to make sure that their games are not available on platforms like Xbox, therefore blocking those gamers and forcing gamers to buy their platform, therefore making them more money. In the end, it doesn't feel like Sony really cares about the people or the gamers. They care about the money aspect of it. Therefore, if you're the judge, like the judge here, you might feel as if, again, that the FTC, again, their arguments would support Sony's arguments. The FTC's job, again, is to make sure that monopolies don't exist and the overall consumer is protected. But they use the exclusivity argument, which is backed up by Sony, who again is a company that's known for greedy practices like exclusivity. Therefore, the arguments just don't make no sense. Secondly, the financial backing of this, Call of Duty is not like a God of War or Spider-Man. It's not a single player experience, it's a multiplayer experience meant to be played by many platforms. That's how it makes a lot of its money, right? It makes people buy their games, spend microtransaction, which is an in-game currency, right? And that's how they make their billions of dollars. It's not really meant to be exclusive. That's not how it makes money. It's meant to be multiplayer experience. Exclusive only really work as single player game because they're one-time experiences that only really boost your prestige and make you one-time big money, right? One time it makes you $1 billion. It's like a movie basically. You make a movie and during the movie's reign, you make the money it makes, like $1 billion or $500 million, and that's it, right? That's the profit you make out of it. That's basically what single player games are. They're pretty much long movies which gamers can actually play and experience through. But multiplayer is not like that. Multiplayer is meant to be played by again, multiple people face off against multiple people. And it's meant to be played over a long amount of time, right? It's meant to be played over years on years. It's a longevity game. It's meant to make money over years, not just a one-time profit. Therefore, by making it exclusive, that will just reduce the amount of money that Microsoft could actually make as a whole. Therefore, making exclusive financially makes no sense. Therefore, Sony lost the argument and Xbox now finally owns Activision Blizzard. And this is a pretty big change in the market, mainly due to one thing. Xbox has something called Game Pass subscription. I think you all know what Game Pass is. Game Pass is basically a subscription fee where you pay a monthly fee, and and you're given a bunch of games you can play for free, right? And now they have these AAA games, which are nowadays sold for $70. They can add all those games into their Game Pass subscription catalog, meaning if you own Game Pass, you can get 20 to 30 games which are AAA games for absolutely free of no extra cost, just because you're part of that subscription fee. And this hurts Sony a lot because if you're Sony, if you're a guy from PlayStation, let's say a new quality game releases, well, the guy from Xbox gets it for free, while you gotta go to Best Buy or GameStop and pay $70 for it. That's a huge change up, and it could again incite people to actually go to Xbox. So not by making this exclusive, but just by owning these properties, Sony has a risk of losing its players, or losing its gamers and the people playing on PlayStation, which is why they probably are pretty afraid of this deal being actually approved. So now, what do I think personally? Well, I actually think this is a good deal, mainly because Activision before this deal was in a mess. They were dealing with legal troubles. It was been known that their workers were not treated well, and Bobby Kotick, their previous CEO, was a very bad person who did some bad stuff. I don't want to go too detailed into it, but let's just say he's not a great guy. So Bobby Kotick is a bad person, and firing him was the best thing Activision or Microsoft could have ever done. And I think under Phil Spencer, the leader of Xbox, he's a very good person. He's a pretty nice leader, in my personal opinion, who I think has been pushing Xbox in the positive direction after their mess of what they had during the previous generation of the Xbox One era, right? I think with them owning Activision, they can make better games as a whole and overall better for the gaming community. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and share and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.